morning. Yes, good morning everyone. Okay, so today we'll have discussion of 22nd October, the Hindu newspaper. But before starting the lecture, I would like to talk to you, all of you, those who are also online students following this lecture series. I appreciate that you are continuously following this, taking input from these discussions that are happening. Also, let me tell you that we are open to feedback, even criticism. In the past also, we have taken very positive feedback from the students. We have tried to improve, and we are continuously making efforts to benefit the students in their preparation strategy. Okay, so yes, surely the students are writing good comments and some of them are criticizing also. Just I want to tell you that do not criticize only. There should be some constructive criticism on your behalf. You should provide some solution also. No? Tell me what is going on, what is wrong with the lecture series. We want to add something, let's say, so from suppose some modules, some areas the discussion is not happening, some important news are missing. In the past also some students asked like, sir, economy section news are not covered comprehensively. Okay, so we added that, we consciously now making effort that the economy module, whatever the articles are there in newspaper, they are not missed. So in this manner we are actually working on, let's say, for your benefit only, we are providing this at morning 10 o'clock. We are making these efforts for your own preparation. Okay, so just I am telling you that you should have positive attitude. As a civil service aspirant and as a civil servant, you should have positive attitude. Whenever we, criticize someone also, we criticize some government schemes also in our mains examination, right? While writing answers. So do you only go on criticizing there? नहीं, गवर्नमेंट ने कुछ नहीं किया है, सब खराब है, ऐसे बोले जाते हैं कि हम नहीं ना, वहाँ पे हम अल्टरनेटिव्स भी देते हैं, राइट? एंड द टोन ऑफ क्रिटिसिज्म इज लाइक soft tone is there, right? So suppose we are the evaluators in the classroom and we are evaluating your copies and we say that, oh, क्या लिखा है इसने, सब खराब लिख दिया है, ठीक है, ऐसा बोले जाए और हम आपको फीडबैक सिर्फ इतना ही दें, so that is not good feedback, right? So we should tell you that yes, these are the areas where you are good, these are your strength, these are the areas of weakness, and you can overcome these weaknesses in this manner, right? So this is the approach that you should have in your life towards any kind of, let's say, be it professional life or personal life. Okay? Yes, fine. So let us have a look at these articles. Yes. Okay, so you can see the first page. Yes, we have crossed the landmark of 100 crore COVID-19 vaccine doses. This is a good thing. There is one article written by our Prime Minister itself on editorial page today. And he is talking about the success of complete vaccination drive in India. So yes, we need to know about how the positives of vaccination policy of the government, which are the areas of the positive approach, or we can say that how government has successfully delivered these vaccines to the people of India. Okay, so positive aspect you should be aware. Up till now we generally tend to criticize whatever the areas are there related to, be it vaccine development, vaccine approval, vaccine distribution, and we can say inoculation. Now some positives also from directly Prime Minister, we will try to know about that. Then Prime Minister to attend climate meet in Glasgow. COP26 is going to happen. UNFCCC, United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. Right. So when this will happen, no, we will try to discuss the outcome. It is just announced that our Prime Minister will be attending this in a physical manner. Okay. Now, on the bottom, illegal construction in Kaziranga. Okay, so it is national park as well as tiger reserve, Kaziranga in Assam. So again, there will be revision of protected areas of Assam. Which are different protected areas of Assam, be it national park, tiger reserve or biosphere. So we'll try to locate it on mapping part, right? Yes. Now on left hand side top, Supreme Court says farmers have right to protest but can't block roads. Now the same thing the Supreme Court had said in the earlier judgment related to yes, Shaheen Bagh protests were there, right? So there also Supreme Court had established this doctrine that yes, the right to protest exists but not at the cost of right to freedom of movement of other people, right? So the same thing is reiterated here, you should be aware. Now you tell me what is the fundamental right under which this right to protest comes?
Article 19(1).
Yes, under Article 19(1). What is that fundamental right?
Right to protest.
There is no directly explicit right to protest, right?
Means
Freedom of speech and expression is there, and right to peaceful assembly is also there, right? So this is the part, and then there is the right to freedom of movement also within the country under Article 19, right? Which fundamental right covers the freedom of movement outside the country? From India, if suppose we want to go outside and then come back to India, that freedom of movement is covered under which fundamental right? It is not covered under Article 19. It specifically mentions that it is freedom of movement within the country, right? Article 21, right to life and personal liberty, that covers the movement outside the country and then right to come again back to India. Okay, this should be very clear too. Now, yes, on page number 3, okay, on bottom side, UK-India joint military exercise is to keep peace and stability. The name of the exercise is Konkan Shakti, right? So Konkan Shakti is bilateral exercise between India and UK. Okay, this is going to happen in Arabian Sea, right? Yes, so we will try to know about that now. On page number 6, yes, lead article, responding to the adversity with achievement. Yes, our Prime Minister is writing this article, some highlights of success in the vaccination drive during last 9 months. So we have crossed this 100 crore mark also, right? So other articles, fine, the squaring off again the Himalayan heights. So India-China issue is discussed here, but we find that already this article or this topic has been discussed in detail. At present there is no, let's say, talks between India and China. Whenever we are having talks, there will be articles and then we will have discussion in detail. Okay, on left hand side there is articles scripting history. So again it is talking about the mark of 100 crore vaccine that are delivered. Okay, so yes, general discussion about the vaccine and the vaccine rate. Recently the vaccination rate has come down in some states. You should be also aware that in West Bengal there are increasing number of infections in last 3 days. Yes, just we are having follow-up since last 18 months we are doing this thing actually. There will be always one editorial in 1 week about the COVID-19. Just read that and just have follow-up on that. Okay, engaging the Taliban. Context here is yesterday's discussion we had that our representatives met the Taliban counterpart along with other countries, other 10 countries, and they had the joint statement. Okay, so basically it is talking about we should engage with Taliban further for at the diplomatic level to ensure that the other objectives yesterday we discussed, right? Limitations that are put on the Taliban-led Afghanistan, be it in terms of ensuring human rights protection, or we can say that yes, the soil of the Afghanistan should not be used for terrorist activities or the organizations, right? Then other things,
Drugs.
yes, drug trafficking and ensuring friendly relations with other countries. So such kind of things are mentioned. Again, there is repetition here. Fine. On right hand side, Air India cell, that will not be asked. Okay, that is too much of a specific issue. UPSC will not ask. Okay, now moving on. On page number 9, you can see Pakistan retained FATF's grey list again. So Financial Action Task Force, all basic information about FATF, we are going to know about this. Okay, so there is from time to time review by FATF about the status of these countries, whether they should be included in the grey list or black list or outside them. Okay, so since last many years Pakistan has been in grey list. Okay, so this is just follow up, but FATF is important for prelims examination also. Fine. All right. Yes, on page number 11, Trump to launch social media platform. Okay. Yes, so the name of the app is Truth Social. Okay, so we have seen the 4 years ruled by him and there was no truth, and the name of the app he mentioned is Truth Social. Okay, so yes, it is not important for our examination, just remember the name of the app, that's all. Okay, nothing other things important. But yes, on page number 12, need strategic reserves of coal and gas. And on right hand side again, coal scarcity is still a looming risk, says Crisil. Okay, rating agency Crisil has given one report about the coal crisis recently happened in India. We discussed about the coal crisis. Again, this article talks about maintaining strategic reserves and some measures given by Power Secretary himself. The Power Secretary, he himself is talking about some measures that are required. Okay, so that is important. Directly write in the answer as a way forward, right? So yes, we will take input from that aspect also. Okay, let us discuss these articles on magazine page, or which is that Friday review page is there, right? Okay, that is not important today. No important articles on supplement. Okay, let us discuss them one by one. You can see here we have taken some important statements from this article as it is, because you can write them directly in your essay paper also. These statements directly given by our Prime Minister in this article about the success story of COVID-19 vaccination in India. Yes, India has completed vaccination of 100 crore doses on 21st October in 9 months. Okay, for any effort to attain and sustain speed and scale, the trust of all stakeholders is crucial. You can use this statement and you can say that yes, to some extent, the people trusted the homemade vaccines, or we can say domestically developed and manufactured vaccine. Earlier there was hesitance to some extent, but yes, the people came forward and got vaccinated. So this is good thing that the people are trusting, and that's why we attained such milestone and the speed of vaccination was also sustained. We can understand the population level that we have. We can understand the geographical diversity we have. Okay, so cultural, geographical diversity is there. Urban-rural divide is there. Educated and illiterate people are also there. Despite of this fact, we are able to maintain such kind of speed and scale in the vaccination because of trust of all stakeholders. The people are stakeholders. Which are the other stakeholders? We will say that the state governments also. We will say that the scientific community also. We will say that the private companies also, corporates. Basically, all of these are stakeholders. Doctors, right? So they have trust in the government. Basically, all of them cooperated, coordinated with each other, and then only this was successful. Okay, then India's vaccine drive is an example of what India can achieve if citizens and government come together with the common goal in the spirit of Jan Bhagidari. Use this statement in whenever the question is related to governance. GS2 paper, public administration optional subject, essay paper, Jan Bhagidari. The present government always, our Prime Minister also focuses on this. People participation in the governance process. Very important aspect, right? Also a component of good governance. Yes, when everyone takes ownership, nothing is impossible. This is also true, right? The government itself alone cannot achieve such milestones. The people have taken ownership. They have taken the responsibility. Like the Prime Minister has given the example, during the first lockdown, the people followed the lockdown. People followed the social distancing and masking, universal, let's say, masking norms, and because of that, to some extent, India, there was some delay in the increase in infections, right? The government was able to strengthen its preparation. ठीक है ना? लॉकडाउन क्यों लगाया था? पहला लॉकडाउन? Yes, but क्यों लगाया था गवर्नमेंट? Why government had lockdown in the first lockdown?
To get some time for
Yes.
For stop the spreading.
Not stop the spreading. The major objective was not that. The government was not knowing about anything about this COVID-19 disease. Basically, no one knew anything about at the world stage also, even WHO, right? And the government required some time for the preparation, especially for medical health infrastructure. The government knew that there will be exponential increase in the infections suddenly. This was clear because of experience in China and other European countries, right? So from that aspect, we will say that the government required some time to understand what is happening and strengthen its administrative response. Okay, and then later on we can see that when there was opening of economy or opening relaxation, then infections increased largely, right? So basically that was the reason, and people followed these lockdown guidelines. There were, let's say, problems, and people faced many problems, including the labor, weaker sections of society. But yes, all people together took this responsibility. So that's why it was possible. People's participation is biggest strength of democracy. This statement is also important. Only a handful of countries have developed their own vaccines. Okay, so 80% of the countries, or we'll say that around 180 countries in the world, they do not have their own vaccine. Okay, so India developed its own vaccine, and because of that only we are able to vaccinate such large amount. If we would have been importing these vaccines, then yes, obviously it would have taken more time. So the credit goes to Indian scientists and entrepreneurs for rising to the occasion. Entrepreneurs, private companies, those manufacturers of these vaccines. So they cooperated, and the government partnered with these vaccine makers right from day one. Government supported these companies. How? In terms of, we can say, yes, the assistance and support was given, institutional assistance, scientific research, funding, as well as accelerated regulatory processes. This was expedited, right? The process from development, approval, distribution, or we can say purchase and distribution also. This was continuously, we can say, coordinated. All ministries of the government came together to facilitate vaccine makers. I believe that this has happened for the first time since independence, right? So there are always problems of coordination, right? So weak coordination among the different ministries and departments, this is the major problem, right? And that's why the people, we can say that the governance was not, the public service delivery was not up to the mark, the quality public service delivery. So yes, because of that we can say, now this is good thing that in future also this should happen. In the country of scale of India, it is not enough to just produce these vaccines. The focus has to be on last mile delivery and seamless logistic. This was huge challenge. This was huge challenge. Why? Because we know that these vaccines are supposed to be stored in a cold storage infrastructure. So from manufacturing facility to the ultimate delivery, it is to be transported continuously in a cold storage. This was a major challenge, right? And this was successfully achieved. This was continuously monitored also. Many a times some of the vaccines were wasted. Why? Because of temperature changes. But largely we were able to deliver these vaccines by maintaining the low temperatures, or we can say cold storage. So logistic was we can say major challenge, and this happened because of administrative efficacy, right? So management, administrative efficiency was ensured here. This is good thing from behalf of the government. Now these efforts were complemented by robust technology platform CoWIN. Robust technology platform. We have seen the initial glitches when this CoWIN was launched. The people were not able to book the slots, right? In first, let's say 2-3 weeks, this was the problem, and later on the government increased the availability of the vaccines, and then we can say that the people were able to. Then initially also there was only English language. Then in the local language, later on the platform was further improved, right? So all people were not able to book because it was in English language. That was the problem, right? But now we will say that the glitches are removed, and now it is inclusive and accessible to the all people, including rural India. Now what are the positives of this technology or this platform?
Availability of locations and stock of the vaccine in particular areas. And less rush in hospitals.
Yes, we will say that it happened in a planned manner, right? Also the equitable distribution. ऐसा नहीं कि rich people they are coming let's say and directly taking the vaccine and poor are lining in the queue. This didn't happen, right? Everyone was same. Everyone was in the line, right? So basically it happened because of this technology. It ensured that equitable, scalable, trackable and transparent vaccination happened in the country. Actually this was supposed to be written in this last year's men's examination. There was one question, right, in GS3 paper. What was that question? Role of technology during pandemic. Role played by technology during the pandemic. This was question, right? GS3 paper. Do you remember that? And this was the major point to be written in that answer. CoWIN platform. Along with, there are, let's say, different platforms created by the government, and the technology, not only in this term, you can write about the technology, digital technology like telemedicine, e-Sanjeevani scheme, the government launched. Then there was One Nation, One Ration, online integration of ration card was there. Then there were, we can also talk about the tele-education or various online platforms where like Swayam Prabha channels, TV channels were there to ensure the education remains uninterrupted. Okay, so many let's say different uses of technology, be it in terms of medical field also. You can give the examples of you know how some of the innovative measures were taken. The oxygen cylinders, when there was less oxygen cylinders supplied to the hospital, or the ventilators were not available to the people, So some innovative measures like one ventilator was used for 4 people. Such modifications were done at the hospital level. Basically it is technology, right? We were able to save the lives of the people. You can give the examples of different technology and how it helped the different sections of the society in different areas. Okay, yes.
Technology will improve the accountability and responsibility also.
Yes, that is correct. But the focus of this question was not that. During the pandemic, how it helped in, let's say, delivering the services, in the governance process, or reducing the difficulties that people are facing, right? So this was to be written, and yes, in last 1 year students had notes about this. Everything, be it in terms of development of drugs and vaccine, biotechnology, right? So CRISPR-Cas9 technology was used for developing the diagnostic kits. Like that Tata company had developed a very efficient test for this COVID-19, use of CRISPR technology. So biotechnology is important, right? So in this manner we can give some examples there. Okay, now moving on to next. Need strategic reserves of coal and gas, and then there is article, coal scarcity still a looming risk, says Crisil rating agency in its report. Okay, so some way forward is mentioned here in these articles. Recently the central government has asked states to lift their hydropower output in a bid to conserve state coal supplies. Now we know that especially some southern states and Himalayan state, they received excess rainfall, and the dams that are built, hydroelectric projects, they are having more than sufficient water in their reservoirs. So these states are asked to now produce more hydroelectricity. In a temporary measure, this will help to, let's say, reduce the challenge, or we can say that whatever the lack of supply of the power, we know that there is increased demand suddenly because of economic recovery that is happening in the country. Okay, also there are increase in the prices of coal and other traditional fuels, including crude oil and natural gas at the world level also. Okay, so for meeting the demand of increased power in the country, the states are asked to increase their hydropower output. So it will mitigate the situation, right? And in future we can increase the production of coal and then tackle the situation. At present we are having shortage of coal, right? So in this manner, then a built up in the coal inventories by February 2022 is critical to avert outage in the coming summer. We know that during summer the power demand increases, especially in northern India for cooling purpose. Domestic demand increases, industrial demand increases, and hydropower production falls. So we can say that largely the dependence increases on coal-fired thermal power plants. In India, around 70% of the, we can say, power production from traditional fuels happens from the coal. Okay, and overall if we are talking about capacity, 60%, including if we are talking renewable energy, then 60% still we are dependent on coal for power production. Okay, so this is also required. Now Power Secretary is saying that there is need to build strategic reserves of imported coal and gas as was being done for petroleum products. We know that there are strategic reserves, SPRs, strategic petroleum reserves, right? So we are building these strategic petroleum reserves in different parts of the country so as to maintain the petroleum reserves for 90 days. At present it is around 9 to 10 days only. With the help of these strategic petroleum reserves, we will be able to mitigate any kind of oil shocks in the world. We know that around 80% of the crude oil is imported. Any supply, let's say, of this crude oil, suppose it is blocked because of unrest in the Middle East or these countries, what will happen to the economy? there is requirement of some reserves, right? So as to mitigate that situation, that shock. So for that purpose we are building strategic petroleum reserve. On the same line, now we need to build such strategic reserves for coal as well as natural gas also. Why? Because we are facing the similar problem here. The prices of coal and natural gas in the international market, they are very high, and that's why Indian companies are not importing coal at present. So those thermal power plants dependent on this imported coal, they stopped production of electricity. Okay, at present this is the situation, and remaining are dependent on domestically produced coal by CIL, Coal India Limited, right? So basically, and CIL is not able to produce at the higher rate to meet this demand. This is the situation. Okay, so these strategic reserves will help mitigating that situation. Need to diversify energy basket to cope up with the fossil fuel supply crunch. So when we say diversify, that means largely we need to shift towards renewable sources of energy. We need to, already we are committed for 450 gigawatt by 2030 from renewable energy sources. We need to focus on that, meeting that target and reducing dependence on these non-renewable sources of energy. Yes, you can use that statement. Okay, converting Apada to Avsar. Okay, so yes, this is what we are writing in the way forward like this. And yes, we are going to discuss this in ED lectures in detail. This topic is important for GS3 paper as well as now onwards you should be yourself able to relate, to syllabus topics. Yes, GS1 geography, resources. Yes, foundation batch, we learned this. I believe that you remember coal resources of India, world. We learned about that, right? Yes, in ED lectures further we'll have revision on those also aspect. GS1, GS3 paper, energy crisis or energy security, part of economy. Okay? Yes.
Regarding to static reserves of petroleum is a high cost. Fuel reserve per liter is nearly 100 rupees present days. It is the economic way. But one ton of coal is going to be nearly only 2,000 to 3,000 rupees. It is not economic. That's why most of the highly developed countries have been not able to tackle the static reserves of coal. That is the main reason. How we can able to achieve that problem?
Yes, that is also problem. One more problem is that it is bulky, very bulky, no? The coal is very bulky, and how to store that huge amount of coal, that is also problem, right? So yes, surely, but we are saying that strategic reserve, that is to be like 15 days, 1 month or 45 days, that can be stored. And such kind of storage should be there in the coastal areas where we can import and store it.
So we can use old ships that are in along with they are coming for destruction. We can use that also to store the coals.
Yes, basically we should use the coastal areas or ports, small or major ports also, right? Minor and major ports for that purpose, so that whenever it is required, the coal can be transported to the hinterlands. This is major, right? And also, let me also tell you that whatever the coal producing states are there, they do not require that coal. Basically, it should be the southern states where the coal reserves are very limited, right? Which states felt more problem during this coal shortage? Southern states, right? Kerala, Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, these states largely felt the problem. Basically, the coal did not reach on time. There was a break in the supply chains also. Along with the weak production, this was also the problem. Okay, so we'll say that in the coastal areas, such kind of strategic reserves can be there, and later on they can be transporting to hinterlands. Fine? Okay. In ED lectures, we are going to discuss that in detail. Fine. Yes. As the UK's carrier strike group gets ready for one of the biggest joint exercise, Konkan Shakti, with India's armed forces, its aircraft carrier Queen Elizabeth has added task. It aims to strengthen military as well as cultural ties with India. So this is unique thing. Okay, it wants to also promote the cultural links along with military. Okay. So other things, that is fine, that is not that much important. Yes, but this particular aircraft carrier, this is the first aircraft carrier in the world designed from the outset to operate 5th generation combat aircraft. Okay, so it will help Indian armed forces to understand this technology, interoperability. This is good thing. Bilateral, multilateral exercises, they are good to strengthen the capabilities of our armed forces. Always talk about that. Okay? Yes.
Sir, you speak briefly about this exercise. For the publicity of that carrier only, they carry now to the India, so to expose the worldwide of the carrier now, for market purpose.
Publicity.
Otherwise, they have no use now, sir, for military and navy, navy collaboration of India present depends on the situation.
See, this aircraft carrier earlier was in South China Sea for different kind of exercises. Then we had PASEX in Bay of Bengal recently. Then it came to Arabian Sea. And we are having these exercises an annual and biannual manner continuously. तो ये क्या होता है, ये एयरक्राफ्ट आता है, it goes through Indian Ocean, then Pacific Ocean or South China Sea, then goes back, and on its way, and we can say that coming back, it has exercises with other countries. Basically, it focuses on maintaining the strategic presence in these oceans, so Indo-Pacific region. We talked about AUKUS. Now how UK is shifting its strategic focus to Indo-Pacific region. Up till now UK was part of EU. It had to listen to the strategic policy or foreign policy of EU as together different countries. Now UK is aspiring for its own independent foreign policy, and it's shifting that focus towards Indo-Pacific in line with the policy of US. Okay? So we will not say that that is for publicity. Okay, it is part of, we can say, the larger picture. Now, Act on the illegal construction in Kaziranga. This was said by Central Empowered Committee constituted by Supreme Court. It has asked the Assam government to act on illegal construction in identified wildlife corridors of Kaziranga National Park and Tiger Reserve. Now, the important information for our prelims examination, though this year UPSC did not ask about the protected areas, the students were disappointed. कुछ students ने सारे more than 100 national parks, they mugged up the locations, including some wildlife sanctuaries also, and UPSC did not ask that. But that does not mean next year UPSC will not ask, so that's why we should be prepared. And Assam is very important, many important protected areas are there. So yes, quickly we'll have a look at these locations. So these are the tiger reserves, and all these 4 tiger reserves, Manas, Nameri, Orang and Kaziranga, they are also national parks. They all are national parks also. Okay, in addition to that, Dibru-Shikowa is also national park. It is not tiger reserve, but it is biosphere reserve. And there is one protected area which is common to all 3. That is Manas. It is biosphere reserve, it is tiger reserve, it is national park also. Such kind of question can be asked. Okay? Yes. So quickly we'll have location. We'll try to know the location on the map of Assam. Now whenever you want to find the authentic information and location of these protected areas, which website will you visit? NVIS, website of NVIS, the government website, WSDP iienvis.nic.in. Yes, yes. This is the website, wienvis.nic.in. On this website, you will come to know all protected areas in different states. Okay, so be it tiger reserve, then critical tiger habitat question was asked in previous prelims examination 2019. Which of the following tiger reserve is having the highest critical tiger habitat area in the country? Basically, there is table mentioned there in that website about the tiger reserves, then states, then the whole area and the area of critical tiger habitat or core area. Okay, so in this manner, just have a glance through or go through that particular website whenever such kind of things are. Also, this map, you can see here the map of Assam. In the same manner, for each and every state and union territory, this map is given for protected areas. Okay, so national parks and wildlife sanctuaries, they are shown in the state-wise manner like these maps. Okay, so quickly we'll have a look at these protected areas. So you can see, yes, the locations. Fine. So this is third here. You can see Manas National Park mentioned, right? Manas National Park. Then you can see here Dibrugarh mentioned here, right? Sorry, this one, first one. So Dibru Shikowa National Park and Biosphere Reserve is also there, right? Now, okay, now coming back to this side, this is second one, Kaziranga National Park. Then we have fifth one, Orang National Park. We have fourth one here, Nameri Tiger Reserve and National Park, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we have, okay, so these are the 5 national parks. Will you be able to remember them? 3 are along the Brahmaputra course. Can you see that? These, and then 2 are along the Nameri and Manas. Nameri and Manas. Manas river flows through Manas National Park, then meets Brahmaputra. Okay. So in this manner we can remember them, the protected areas. Other are wildlife sanctuaries, that is not important. Wildlife sanctuaries. Remember the national parks only. Fine. Pakistan retained on the FATF's grey list again. So that is fine. That is what we can say about that. Okay. So yes, we should know about the importance of this maintaining grey list. Basically, FATF was created as a watchdog for global money laundering and terrorist financing. Okay, very, very important. It sets up some standards for different member countries. Okay, regarding the issues of money laundering and terrorist financing. If they are not followed, then the particular country is put under grey list or black list. Okay, so these standards are to be followed, like recommendations, standards which ensure coordinated global response to prevent organized crime, corruption, terrorism. Okay, so it is also part of GS3 security also. Okay, FATF trans-border crimes, or we will say that organized crimes. So money laundering is part of organized crime. Okay, though, yes, basic information about it. Okay, now FATF also works to stop funding for weapons of mass destruction. See, the question can be asked in a different manner in prelims examination. Like, the FATF works in the following areas. They can read money laundering, terrorist financing, or weapons of mass destruction, or we can say organized crime. Any kind of, let's say, points can be mentioned there. Organized crimes includes drug trafficking, human trafficking, or arms smuggling, they are all included. Okay, so illicit activities that are there, they are covered. Now there are two types of list maintained here. There is blacklist and there is grey list. This blacklist is having severe sanctions. The countries can, or all global countries together, can put some sanctions on these countries in the blacklist. FATF does not itself put sanctions. Rather, when FATF include particular country in the blacklist, that is the signal to other countries to put some sanctions on that country, put some pressure to avoid any kind of terrorist financing or money laundering activities. Right? Now you can see that the blacklist, actually some of the countries like the North Korea or Iran, they are included there in the blacklist. And grey list, there is Pakistan, and recently I guess they have included Turkey, no? This time. Yes, this is new development. Turkey is also included in grey list. Basically it is warning. Grey list means it is warning that you should work towards maintaining we can say good economic or accounting activities, transparency in its own economy, whatever the activities that are going on. Okay, so this is how it maintains. Now what are the consequences of being in a grey list? Those countries in the grey list may face economic sanctions from IMF, World Bank, ADB. The problem in getting loans from IMF, World Bank, ADB and other countries, reduction in international trade and international boycott. This is the outcome. Okay, probable outcome we will say. Fine. Now on the basis of this information, try to attempt this question.
So the second and fourth statement is wrong, so it's 1 and 3 is correct. B.
One and
Yes? Everyone? We have to find the correct statements about FATF. It is Global Money Laundering and Terrorist Financing Watchdog. Yes, this is correct. Now it is established by G20 summit. It is incorrect, right? It is established by G7. Such kind of, let's say, confusion can be there. And suppose the students accept this statement, then he will assume that fourth statement is also correct. India is member of G20, right? Are you getting this? And that's why he will mark the incorrect answer, all of them. So having wrong information about one statement will also lead you to, assume certain things for other statement also. Right? So yes, so this is incorrect, and India is not the founding member. It was included in 2010 later on. Then secretariat is located in OECD headquarters in Paris. This is correct statement. So that's why 1 and 3 is the correct answer. Fine? Yes. So these are the important articles. Any question from your side? Yes, those who are watching this video online on YouTube, if you have any doubts, you can ask in the comment box. At the end of the lecture, we'll try to address these doubts. Okay, at present, I guess there is no question mentioned there. So we can stop. Tomorrow, we will try to cover important articles. Just I would say that have follow-up, and you will come to know at the end, after 3-4 months, 6 months, you will understand the kind of resource that we are building here. I would not say that, I don't like to compare the Hindu analysis with other institutes, because the intention of providing the Hindu analysis here at Lukmaan IAS is very different. Okay, here the intention is building your own capacity to take inputs from current affairs. Continuously I am saying that, oh, this was asked in the prelims, this was asked in the mains examination, it is related to this syllabus point. Why I am continuously emphasizing this? The main intention of this lecture series is this one. Okay, and after 3-4 months, 6 months, you yourself will be able to relate that. And this is skill. Actually, students are not able to use that. And I have always emphasized that you yourself need to read editorial or mains related articles. We never emphasize that, okay, after listening to this half an hour or 1 hour lecture, you need not to read the newspaper. Yes, for prelims examination, those articles, you can simply follow this lecture, that will be sufficient from the Hindu. But for mains, yes, you have to yourself read those articles also. We are providing some perspective here. And ED lectures, yes, you know in detail, we go into the depth of these issues. We try to cover all aspects there, and the faculty provides a very good perspective on that. Fine? Okay, thank you.